Okay, welcome back after that short break. What we're going to do, let's make sure we're recording this session so you guys can watch it later on if you want to as a recap or refresh. And let's pick up where we left off. So don't forget, if you want a copy of the material, it is to the right hand side of my webcam. So if you want to click on those slides, you can download them and have access to them. And don't forget, we can use the chat box where we can chat to one another, ask questions, etc. as we go. Where did we get up to then? So before the break, we started looking at the difference between data, information and knowledge. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you work in. In fact, remind me, which sectors do you guys work in? I'm interested to know what you do because this pervades everything. Data is at the back of everything we do these days. So we've got Mark in banking. What else have we got? Fajana, hi. Fajana, you're an accountant. Like me, I'm an accountant. What else? Simon and Jack are coming in. What part of the world? So Simon's in the legal sector and Jack's a doctor, right? It really doesn't matter. Data is at the heart of everything we do. And if you remember what we were looking at just before our break, let's just have a quick recap over it. We were looking at the differences between data, information and knowledge. So remember what we said about data. It is facts that are raw facts or unorganized facts. The next stage is organising that raw fact, and that is the process of getting information. So think of information as processed data, and then that becomes the input then into knowledge, which is understanding the information. And remember, we were saying that quite often people interchange information and knowledge, and it's important to be clear on the differences between the two. So that's what we looked at before our break. What we're going to go on and look at now is in terms of data sources. So where do we get data from? And in fact, I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to throw you guys a little question. So I'm just bringing up a couple of polls. So if you look to my left hand side, the first question I want you to have a think about is which of the following are data sources from the real or virtual world? And this is one of those questions that can be more than one answer. Oh, lots of answers in there. Wow. Brilliant, thank you. And then when you've had a go at that one, have a go at question 2. Now this is just a multiple choice, so you can only pick one here. But in your organisation, what sort of data sources are you using? Mainly real world data sources, so things like satellite outputs, medical equipment. Is it mainly virtual, so web-based data sources, or is it a bit of both? Okay, brilliant. So thank you for taking part in those. So let's have a look at the first question then. You could have picked any on here, and in fact, all of those on the left, they are all data sources from both the real and virtual world. So there's no wrong answer on that one. And then interestingly, when we look on the second poll on the right of the screen, most people saying using a combination of both real world and virtual world data sources. So yeah, absolutely. I can see that even in my world, it very much is a combination of the two. So just moving back, and again, you'll be able to see these in your material. Just to recap, we've got the real world input. We've then got our virtual world into our big funnel where we're going to process that data to get information or insights. Right, so now we're going to reference and look at some of the stuff you did as you're reading before this session, because what we're going to go on and look at now is where do we store that data. So hopefully when you did all your reading in advance of this session, you'll be able to put that reading to the test here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you guys into little groups. So I'm just going to change the screen for one moment and I'm going to put you into groups. So let's get you into those groups now. I'm going to put you into 2 groups. I'm going to do it a little bit different to last time. Last time, if you remember, we went into what did we do? We did a series of breakouts. So you went into one room and did one question, then we went into another room and looked at something else, and then we went into a third group. This is going to be a fastest fingers first job, and I'm going to put you into groups of 2. And I want one of you to be the main person who's going to be scribe. And there's going to be a really quick question in there around file formats and storage. So remember, this is just a standardized method of encoding digital data. So when you go into your room in a minute, I'm going to pop you in there and you'll have a little task to do in the pod in the bottom right hand corner that I'm pointing to. Don't forget you've got a chat, so within your groups you can chat to one another, and I'll be navigating in and out of that session. So I'll come and see how group 1 are getting on, then I'll come and see how group 2. So don't worry if you can't hear me or see me, it's probably I'm with the other group. As always, I'm going to make it a little bit more tricky. I'm going to put you under some time pressure. So you've got 30 seconds and then we will regroup and make sure and see how you got on and see if we've got a winner. See if we get one team that manages to get all the answers correct. Now, before I start the breakout, just want to check everybody is happy with what we're about to do and understand. So if you could just pop your hand up just to let me know you're happy with what we're doing. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Feel free to pop your hand down. That's fantastic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into groups of 2. So you can see there we've got Fajana and Jackie in group 1 and Mark and Simon, you're going into group 2. So after 3, I'm going to put you in those groups and come and see how you're getting on. 1, 2 and 3.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. So,
Oh my God.
here we go. So, Fajana, you can be scribe. So feel free, Jack Fajana, to have a think about the 4 different types of file formats that might be used. Feel free to pop it in the chat, but please make sure you've got some answers in that notes pod below. I've put sort of 4 as a bit of a get you kick-started in the time that we've got.
Yes.
Fabulous. Right, I'm going to move on and see how group 2 are getting on, so I'll be back shortly. So Mark and Simon, oh, well, I don't really need to be with this group. They're all over it. So yeah, you've got it sorted. You definitely did all that reading up front. I'm going to leave you guys to it. You seem really comfortable with that. So I'm just going to check in on group 1. Let's end the breakout now. Okay, so I ended that breakout. I did warn you it was really quick, so that was probably a little bit mean of me. Please just pop your hands up if you can hear me and see me. I want to check everybody's back in the room. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. And let's see how we got on. I think you absolutely whizzed through this particular little task. So let's have a look at what the 2 groups did. There were some great answers in there. So yes, group 1, if we look at group 1 first of all, you've got CSV and XML, absolutely. Yeah, and you had others in your chat as well, which I could bring in and show you. And then group 2, you absolutely flew through this one. So CSV, RTF, TXT, XML, you could have had HTML in there as well. So yeah, brilliant. And thank you for taking part in that. I hope that was a bit of fun and hopefully was a great way of bringing forward some of that learning you'd done up front into the real session. Right, well, let's go back to the slides then, because I could have been nicer and kinder to you and just brought it up on the slide and said, here's the typical types of places we store data. But great that you guys had a chance to get involved, work together, and come up with some examples. So let's now we know where we store data. Let's now dive into the detail of, what are these data storage? So what is a CSV? What is HTML, XML, RTF, TXT, etc. So that's what we're going to go on and look at next.